Start recording on the mixer in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the Awakened Collective, where we explore the topics of love, spiritual consciousness, and our divine purpose on this planet. Join us as we uncover the truth that our thoughts shape our reality. Welcome to the Awakened Collective. I'm Rick Gregory, and it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. And a special thank you to Audio Alchemy Productions, Daniel Anderson. Thank you, Danny, for the gift you are to the world and giving us this opportunity to share our experiences that are changing lives. Thanks for joining us tonight. And I always want to remind you that you are the divine extension of your Creator's love on this planet. You have never been separated from your Creator by whatever name you choose to call your Creator. We have never been separated from one another. It is my belief that all the darkness this world contains has its roots in our thinking that we are separate somehow from the one who created us and from one another, and it is not true. An idea is never separated from its source. This podcast, The Awakened Collective, was my idea. It's never going to be separated from me, and you, my friends, are the idea of God. Well, tonight we have a repeat guest, back by popular demand. My son, Andrew Munroe, who was on just a few podcast episodes ago, is back with us tonight. He was here on episode 21, where he shared his story, his journey with us, from former heroin addict to trainer in transformation of mind, body, and soul. If you didn't get to listen to that podcast, please go back and check it out. Episode 21, we talked about recovery. We talked about our purpose on the planet to give back, about emotional intelligence, which we're going to talk about a little more tonight. And I mentioned at that podcast that I was going to be participating in these transformation workshops in Austin, Texas, the Ascension Leadership Academy. I just came back from level 1 and level 2 weekends called Discovery and Breakthrough. And I have to say, it was paradoxically the most difficult, intense, and the most beautiful, healing, restorative, loving experience of my life. Does that make sense to you, Andrew? Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me back, Dad. It is an honor and privilege to be here. And yes, it is. I've been in this container for the past year of transformation here with ALA, and it has absolutely been the most pivotal year in my life. Deeply rooted, little uncomfortable, but at the end of it, the growth and the expansion that I've had in my own thinking and just the people around me, the transformations that I see left and right. Huge.
Yep. You said a little uncomfortable. I think I would raise the bar a little higher. At least for me.
Don't want to scare anyone.
Oh, but it was so worth it.
It's in your face feedback. It's direct one-to-one feedback on the spot of how you're showing up. And it's sometimes we're not aware of our blind spot. Sometimes we're not even aware of our own self-limiting beliefs. We just, it's outwardly focused and people see it.
That's right.
It's an energy.
That's right. And we're going to talk about that a little more too. So just tell us, to get started, tell us, what is emotional intelligence, Andrew?
Emotional intelligence, to me, I'll speak for me, is just coming to a point where you have absolute presence and awareness, sometimes minute by minute, of what story you are telling yourself in your head. So, that story could be effective for where you're going or non-effective, or maybe we've heard positive or negative. I like effective, non-effective. There's no attachment to it. Yeah, it's having an absolute presence, awareness to everything that's happening, and choosing the more empowering story each and every, sometimes minute, sometimes minute by minute, sometimes hour by hour, day by day, week by week. But it's choosing into your vision. It's choosing into where you want to go, what you want to create, what you want to cause and impact and influence in your lifetime.
Yes. And I love when they said that we are born, and this is true, we are born with two innate fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And all the other fears that we experience, that we may be experiencing right now in this moment, are learned. They are learned fears, and therefore they can be unlearned. What do you think about that, Andrew?
I agree 100%, right? Came in with two fears, um, learned them all the way. And a lot of it is, you know what I mean, is ancestral, deeply rooted in every single person that's come before us. That's right to your point. Like we're all divinely connected. And like you said, if we can, it's like a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. If you can learn something, you can, I mean, not even learn new things, just unlearn, right? Things that are non-effective to where we're going.
Yes. So I was just thinking some of my fears, and I've done this work through recovery. There is a portion in our steps in recovery where you make a list of your fears, you identify, where those things came from. We don't go into the depth of work. I think it's led me to this point, but when we're doing those steps, we don't necessarily get into the depth of the shadow kind of work that we do here, that we've done over these past few weekends. But my fears were fear of failure. I don't think I'm alone with that. Abandonment, loss, economic insecurity, embarrassment, fear of what others think of me that keep me stuck and not stepping out in who and what I am and my courage and my truth, fear of sickness, fear of death. What were some of your fears, or what part do you think our fears play in the formation of some of those self-limiting beliefs?
I mean, fear plays major, major part. So, you, you just listed a lot of fears, but to summarize, like where my greatest fears come from are, you know, what I mean, fear. It's around worthiness, right? Fear of being good enough. That ties into fear of judgment, fear of looking bad, fear of making mistakes, like fear it's not going to be perfect. But ultimately, it's fear of like not being good enough, and that fear has, you know what I mean, caused me, and I'm aware of it, of many years of deciding into non-effective behaviors, non-effective patterns, ways of being that weren't leading me to vision. They were coming from a place of fear because I didn't believe in enough of myself or think that I was worthy for the things that I'm now currently going after each and every single day. So fear played a huge part in that. And I mean, of course, it's same with this podcast, getting on. I mean, if I look back, even just a year ago or a year and a half ago, like being, you know, what I mean, recording, being on a live podcast, like this is something that would bring a whole bunch of fear into my body. And it absolutely, it's still little, it's still present,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's each and every single moment I'm choosing into presence and awareness, being here, I mean, what I'm here to say, what we're here to create in this next hour or so. And that's what I'm actively choosing into right now. So that, like, that fear of saying the wrong thing or being good enough on this podcast or like everyone loving me, liking me, like that, I'm choosing out of that each and every single moment, even right
Mhm.
here, right now.
Awesome. So you already said this, but I want to repeat it, that we are mirrors for each other. And I was thinking about that. Apart from relationship and being with others, we can't see ourselves. That's why isolation, which I lived in isolation, is so dangerous. Where I'm not seen and therefore cannot see myself. And in the rooms of recovery, we've said it, and I heard it in the rooms just these past weekends. If you spot it, you got it. And we read, when I'm disturbed, by some person, place, or thing, there's something in me that needs attention and healing. And having been a pastor for a number of years and studied the Bible and taught out of the Bible, I am often, a memory will come up from a particular portion in the Bible. And what comes up for me when I think about this is in Matthew, where it says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." I always believed there was more to this. There was something more between, because I was like, the speck of sawdust is the same thing that the plank is made out of. So we're seeing in someone else what's actually in us, and even to a greater degree. And what I found in these rooms these past few weekends is that there is a quality of people that have been doing this work for quite some time, that have truly removed the planks. They still see it in other people. They saw stuff in me because it was once in them. They can still see it and identify it, but they've removed the plank. So there was never any sense of judgment. It always came from a place of love and wanting others to be free. And I love that. I don't know if you have anything to share. I just went off on a tangent, but I
I
just
mean,
really
that's I know, I mean, I don't know the Bible as much as you do, but I know that verse, and that is such an amazing way to look at this. And like, as far as, you know what I mean, ever as being mirrors, like, and sometimes how we don't see things, like, you walked into a room with people that you didn't know, and were given feedback of how you were, right, how you were showing up. And if it, you know what I mean, if one person says one thing, it may not land. But if you have a group of individuals that are committed to your greatness, and you hear the same thing over and over and over and over again, it's like, okay, I should probably take a look at that. There is probably something here. So it's the same thing that happens within the rooms of, you know what I mean, 12-step fellowships. It just happens at a faster pace here, in repetition, 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 repetition. So what may take years can take months. It's a faster, right,
yes.
accelerated course. It's an
It's
accelerated course of transformation.
yes, I said it's like taking several of the steps in the rooms of recovery, and it's like they're on steroids. It's you're submersed in an environment where you have to look at yourself. It's not like, we have, over the course of a couple of years, I see things crop up in me and I work, this is no, you see a bunch of shit all at once. And, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? It is like a quantum leap in a short period of time. Let me just tell you, I heard some things about myself that certainly were not pleasant or comfortable. I'm jumping ahead here, but some of the feedback I got was disengaged, disconnected, playing small, apologetic for even taking up space. I mean, those were tough things to hear. But like you said, I heard them, in my small group. I heard them in different environments over the course of the 7 days we were together. And I wanna share just one story. So this one gentleman came up to me one day, and he was not in my smaller group. He was in a different small group. There was like 60 of us total, 65, I don't remember the total number, but he was in another group, and he came up to me in the hall one day and he said, "Rick, I just feel like I need to share something with you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "When I first saw you, when we first got to the hotel, you were sitting over there and you were on your phone." And I thought to myself, okay, here's someone, he's one of those people. He's immersed in his phone. And I just kind of just checked you off as not someone that I was going to make an effort to get to know. And he goes, "But then the night that you were sharing, um, and you called your son up and shared with your son, and you were emotional. And I looked at that and said, I think I may have misjudged this person. And I'm going to give this person a second chance." So he's telling me this that he was, wanting to give me a second chance. And it it really hit home for me, because I'm thinking, I was on my phone. Now he understood that he was looking and seeing something that that was in him that he had to deal with, that he was writing people off without giving them a second thought, and that's something he had to look at. But what I looked at with that share of his was I had this mindset, why would anyone want or need me to be present? That was actually a thought I had with all these people. Who am I? What a freaking revelation. Because I know what I am, who I am. I am a free, joyful, passionate man, and I can make
Yes, you are.
I make a profound difference wherever I freaking go by being intentionally loving and kind, grateful, generous. I don't have to wait to feel it. I am it. And I got that. I
Yeah,
got
that's
that.
making the choice. That's choosing in, right? You're choosing into the more empowering story each and every step of the way. And you just said so many things. And the one thing I want to touch on that both the beginning of your spiel you just had about 12-step fellowships and like the leaps and bounds that, again, because of that repetition and because of the type of container that this is, obviously you and I both know that we owe our lives to 12-step fellowships. I wouldn't be here if I didn't find myself in the rooms, in the halls. Like I wouldn't. And it was a very firm foundation for me. And I started to unravel the onion per se and got in, but there was always a part of me that, you know what I mean, knew that there was deeper depth, and like started with yoga teacher training. I found a new depth with that, but and it still was there. And I came here and it's like, okay, this was it, because 12-step fellowships provide that. They provide like 12 steps to live a life of freedom, and right on a staircase that is never ending until the day that we die, right? Transformation, always choosing into that. There is so much beyond just the 12 steps. And again, that's not to say that they don't work, because they do. There is just so much more energetically with, right, quantum leaps like you're talking about. There's so much more to be had, and it's okay to be. You can have contentment and still want more, right?
Yes.
That's where we get caught up, where we were like, okay, our lives look good. I'm not shooting heroin anymore. I'm not stealing. I'm not lying. I have a job. I'm good. And then there can still be, I want more. And I feel like I made myself wrong for that for many years. And I feel like I feel like that's a common theme sometimes in 12-step fellowships.
Yeah. I know that when you handed me that book, Letting Go by David Hawkins, that was life-changing for me. Because from that book, and he mentioned Course in Miracles, so Glenn and I started the Course in Miracles. It changed the way I looked at everything in my life that I had come to believe was true with regard to religion and spirituality. It was challenging, but came at a perfect time. And, like, I look at the experience that we've just had these past few weekends, and it was like David Hawkins, Course in Miracles, Buddha, Thich Nhat Hanh, everything all rolled into one. And I agree with you. There's always more. It's a never-ending journey, and the more we experience, the more available we are to be of service, which is really the key. Service to the world, which is where I find my greatest joy, and I think you do too.
100%. And like with all of that, with David Hawkins and emotional intelligence, it would be choosing into the energy of neutrality, right? Emotional intelligence is actively choosing into the energy of neutrality with every conversation that we were having in our head, with everything, every event that happens in our lives, whether it's a car accident or a child's birth, right? It's choosing into neutrality even in heightened situations, so that we could always be choosing into vision, right? Always be choosing, right? Emotional intelligence, we have the intelligence, we We can choose into like self beat up, not feeling worthy, your fear, all of that, or we continuously choose out of it.
Yep. And we are energy. That is what we are. And, like I could have thoughts like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, not educated enough, not talented enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not confident enough. That's all energy lack that is being emitted into the universe. And the universe doesn't know the universe isn't watching my back and thinking, okay, you have just sent out energy of lack. Now, that's not a good thing, Rick. You shouldn't have done that, so I'm going to ignore it, and I'm still going to send back abundance into your life. It doesn't work that way. Whatever energy
Mm-mm.
I am sending out, the universe takes that, multiplies it, and brings it back into my life. So don't even get me started on this. But what we put out by way of energy into the universe gets multiplied and comes back to us, whether it's intentionally put out or unintentionally put out. It is a universal law. It comes back. If I'm putting out fear, anger, hatred, judgment, attack, injury, it's getting multiplied and it is coming back into my life. If I'm extending love, kindness, forgiveness, non-judgment, support, help, thoughtfulness, acceptance, especially when no one is looking, man, the universe is going to respond, multiply, and send all of that back exponentially into our lives. Just the way it works.
100%.
It's a tough
It
pill to
is. It's just the way
swallow,
it works.
but swallow it
It's
anyway. It'll change your life.
It's all boils down to, right, they and A like B do you have in your being. It's not who you want to be that you attract. It's who you're being. Who you're being in the moment. Each and every minute, each and every second, each and every hour is what we attract. And we get, as humans, get so lost in that. And then we just do, and we have, but we're miserable and we're not having fun. And yes, we have money and we got the cars, but then that's just like when people say, oh, I know plenty of miserable millionaires, right? Because they did the doing and the having and none of the being. They didn't enjoy 1 second of it. So why would they be happy and full of joy, even though they had millions of dollars and everything they wanted?
That's right.
It doesn't work that way.
I've got this, I shared this too with some of my friends in the group, but I've got this wonderful gentleman. He's 75 years old and he does our lawn every week. And he would come with his grandchildren. And he had one grandson that he would bring along with him because he was going to turn his business over to his grandson. And he does a wonderful job. Kind, wonderful man. And his grandson died last year. I believe it was drug related. And, man, was he just distraught. And yet here he is still plugging away, still with a smile on his face. And, I was just, at the house the other day. He was just finishing up the lawn, and I had to explain to him that I didn't bring the checkbook with me to pay him. And I just felt impressed to go to the bank, get the cash out, come back and give the guy the cash, give him some extra, and let him know what a difference he is making in the world. So you know what? As soon as I left the house to go to the bank, every light was green. I get to the bank. It's the first time that I ever have managed to find a parking spot right next to the ATM. I mean, back to the house, every light was green. I mean, it was so obvious that the universe was rigged in my favor, as it is when we are just simply wanting to follow our hearts of service to help someone else. And when I got to the house, I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, "Mr. Davis, I just want to thank you for being such a light, for being love in this world. Thank you for your kindness." And he was very appreciative. But it was just so obvious to me and so freaking simple that what we give out comes back. And that was a perfect example. I was only responding to the kindness that he was putting out by doing what I was doing. And that's how we can change the world, people.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, imagine a world full of people standing in that energy. Jean Marie, acknowledgement is the greatest gift, she commented. And it is. We, a society that looks at cell phones head down, right? We all say that we're lacking connection and community, and it's like because we all have our heads down, up our asses.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the truth,
Yeah.
right? Imagine a world full of deep-rooted connection, not head into cell phone and really having deep conversation. Because I mean, that is our ancestry, right? If you go back to the cave days or whatever you believe in, right? Community has always been key.
Yes.
And when we lose connection, there obviously becomes disconnection in
Yep.
so many ways. But imagine a world that led with that energy. And that's why you have people like Jesus and Buddha and Gandhi and every enlightened being that has come this far, because that was their commitment. That was their ultimate commitment to the human race and taking a stand for the human race in ways that nobody was in their time. Right?
Mhm.
And then they were made deities and worshipped, and they were just simply, you know what I mean, spiritual beings having a human experience, just sharing like truth and the answers. So I mean, that's just a record of a few. So I mean, transformation has been in the works for centuries and centuries.
Yeah.
It's not
And
new.
And speaking of which, so I'll be coming back to see you next week and have 3 more weekends of, and it's true when we walk away from wonderful events like this that are life-changing, and then we get sucked back into the day-to-day crap. It's easy to lose sight of what we have just grasped and learned over a period of, a few weekends. But these next several weekends are about bringing these learnings into the day-to-day life, making them habit. It's about accountability. So I want you to talk to me, Andrew, about accountability. You intentionally have people in your life hold you accountable. Tell me about that.
Um, Absolutely. I mean, I also stem from the mindset of like, sometimes, I mean, accountability is 100% needed, and personal responsibility is also needed. So as far as accountability goes, for me, that's really just the fun aspect of doing the things that I set out to do. To have someone that you're running beside, and something that I want to touch on that's not your question that's coming up for me, right? Like you
Yep.
you just said, like coming into level 3, level 1, level 2, quantum leaps, and then you kind of step out into the world, and you feel that shift, or you feel that, like people say, like come down. And the reason, if you go off of David Hawkins' teachings, or just teachings of energy in themselves, you're in this container with all these people doing deep soul searching work. You are quantum leaping, as they say. Your energy frequency is being heightened in a short period of time, right? Your new ways of being are being shown to you. So you have 7 days of that, and then, right, energy outside of that isn't always the same. Sometimes we get knocked down a little bit, and like the joy of accountability and like level 3 in this respect is that all of those ways of being, those quantum leaps, those quantum shifts, are then secured with accountability and consistency and responsibility and integrity and living in vision. And it's 3 months, and it's over and over and over and over again, so it becomes your way of being, and not just a quantum leap. So right, you're actually living in the state that you felt in the weekends, right? So that is the point of accountability and repetition. It's just consistency. It breeds results. It's one of the only thing that will outweigh talent all of the time, right? Consistency, I don't know who said it, consistency outweighs talent all of the time.
Yeah, it does. And I know I've told you this, but I have wanted to stop vaping for a long time, and I did. And after 14 years, and it wasn't because some pillar of light or some external force happened or miracle or some feeling I got. It was waking up to the fact that I'm responsible for my life. Talk about simple. That my
You've been
intention,
vaping for 14 years?
since Kevin died, 2010 is when I started. Yep. So my intention and action brings results every time. Not waiting for that right feeling, We talk about acting our way into right thinking. The feelings come along for the ride, but we don't have to wait for them to get in the car.
You do not. It's like living life conditionally. When the
Yes.
conditions are right, I will act. Once I have millions of dollars, I will give. Right? Once I have this, I will do that. And it doesn't work that way.
No.
That's you mean wanting to have something that's not that you're being.
And,
Doesn't work.
we talked about the universe giving back what we put out, and it gives back in like kind. If we're giving out love and kindness, we're going to receive love and kindness. And this was a light dawning on Marblehead. So when I give of my material resources, that opens up the universe to return exponentially those into my life. So it's whatever we give out of ourselves. I just have this note. It says, when we ask the universe, God, Spirit, to show us how we may be of service to the world, the reply we get back is, and how may I serve thee? The universe is rigged in our favor. I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes we just miss the point.
Mhm.
We're here to be one. We're here to hold each other high. We're here to connect. We're here to thrive together. Connection, not separate.
Truth. That is true. We are connected, and I saw that so clearly. So, Danny, if you could put up how to contact Andrew. Andrew, do you have any final comments?
I think I'm complete.
So that's how you can reach Andrew Munroe, trainer in transformation, mind, body, and soul. His Instagram account is at Andrew Munroe, MUNROE_. And if I didn't already mention it, Andrew is my son. We don't have the same last name because I took Glenn's name when I married Glenn, but I am a Munroe, so he is my son. So if you'd like to reach me, I'm going to ask Danny if you'd put that up, theawakencollective.org, as you can find everything you need to know about us out there on that website. It's completely revamped. There are the books that I've published as well as books that I've read that have significantly impacted my life that are available. There are links to all of them out there. All of these live stream podcast videos are out there, including all my social media links and including a link to this Awaken Collective Facebook page is out there. Lastly, I am a certified spiritual life coach. There is a video on the website where I share how all that works, as well as a link for a complimentary one-on-one call, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you again to Danny Anderson, Audio Alchemy Productions. I love you, Danny. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, Andrew. I love you. Love you all. Until next time, my friends, love and kindness always.